Now, in some of the photos I've tossed into some of my videos, most namely the winter preps, you probably saw a four-door black pickup. That was my old International, and that thing has helped a lot of people, and I've towed a lot of friends home. And it got to the point where I literally made my own towing setup. Now, you can buy these, but it's just a whole lot easier to make it. You can go buy just bulk trailer wire. Trailer wire is handy because it is 4 strands of wire that are pieced together. It makes it handy if you're actually just wiring up multiple lights or things in your truck. It just keeps you from uh, like zip tying a bunch of wires together to make a solid strand. There's already 4 strands already there that you have to deal with. Now on the Scout, I haven't really been as active towing people around as I did with that black truck of mine. But you can wire them up, and I've got this one here that I'm going to be wiring for the Scout when I build the back bumper here. Basically wire in a 4-prong connector. This will be attached to the bumper with a little plate, and inside here will be a ground, brake power, turn, and a reverse light if needed. So because of that, what I made for the trailer lights are you take they're called utility lights, sometimes they're called tractor lights, is the cheap rubber housing, and they usually have a really bad bulb in them. They're just not very bright to my standards, and usually range about $6 to $10 depending on where you get them. What I went and did is went and picked up a 4-inch LED light, very similar to the ones I've already showed you how I installed, but this is the round version. I had these because I was actually going to put them on an older Scout, the early 60s, Scout 80s, have round tail lights. So I had those extra anyway. So I put those in the housing. They're waterproof. Now, these have their own grounding wire in there, but all it does is go to the plate here on the side. It's not really a very strong ground, so I basically just broke a hole through the bottom there and fed through a ground turn and brake signal for these. Now, because I haven't really been in the towing business lately, what I've decided to do is turn these into auxiliary lights. Now, the other modification to be a towing apparatus was I went and got these magnets, and I actually got these from a auto parts store in Seattle. You won't find them at the regular shucks, so you'll have to look around for those. But it's a mounting plate that the bolt goes through, so these will fit anything magnetic, and they're extremely handy. But I want to be able to have some area lights, whether you just slap them on your hood and turn them sideways, whether you put them under your truck, they're just going to be a neat little light that I can kind of toss wherever. But I want them to have a little bit of throw. So one of the lights that's in there is called a PAR 36, but this is a sealed beam. It's a 4509 from Sylvania. GE makes them. If I had my magnifying thing, but they are a aircraft light. GE 4509 aircraft. You can get them at Napa and stuff like that. I got them at a local hardware place. But they're a nice clear reflector. Now on airplanes, there is basically a driving light and a floodlight. There's ones that aren't a clear lens, and they put out a real wide dispersed pattern right in front of the aircraft. And then the second one of the PAR 36s shoots long distance. Now they're doing some really cool stuff with LEDs in a PAR 36, mainly for emergency vehicles. This size of light is a very standard size that basically makes it very adaptable for whatever you want. The problem with the LED white lights to throw in here are they're still pretty expensive, to the point where you're approaching the price of a really good small LED off-road light that I may purchase here in the future. Well, if the price is comparable, if I'm paying $100 plus for a light insert into a $6 light housing, there's something wrong. So if the prices go down and it's more affordable, that's fine. But essentially what we're going to build here is a very cheap, very adaptable set of an off-road light. You can use the trailer harness. This is going to be separate. I would recommend using a relay. Please do not. There's no reason to wire straight to a switch. You put in a relay, and maybe I'll do a quick diagram. It's really not as hard as people make it out to be. But these little lights here, let me reach for the one that's out of the housing here, is the same size as the LED. And this is the aircraft light. It is 100 watts, and it will fit in there. And let me shove it in there, and well, I'm going to wire it first. They have little screw-down connectors, so I'm going to run a power and a ground out separately. I'm not going to use any of that. Plus, without the magnetic base, typically you'd have these mounted, drilled into a hole somewhere, and that would serve as a ground through that, inside that housing. I'm going to run my own ground and my own power through them. So I'll get some wires on there and throw it in there. The other idea I had, if I decide to purchase more of these, and you can get them anywhere from about 12 bucks up to 20 bucks. Not super expensive, but when you're talking about a decent throw of off-road light, pretty decent price. These are little grommets. There is the it's a 4.5 inch. It's basically made to fit the brake lights. And what I've done is put that in one of the grommets. And I'm tempted, when I build my new bumper, to put 2 of these in the bumper as auxiliary rear lighting. I won't have them hooked up to the reverse lights because that would be unnecessary, but I probably will have them on a separate switch. Alright, so this is the light force, 170. And it's not attached to anything. So I can widen it out to a wider beam like a mag light. Very effective. Very great light. This is the halogen one. This is the HID one I have on the bumper. This is the second set I have of the halogen. But great light, but also a couple $100. $300. I think $279 is what they retail for. Alright, there's the aircraft light. I'm approximately 12 to 15 feet away from that wall. This isn't going to be a big throw demo of how far this thing can throw, but decent amount of light.